Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this channel. I have been witnessing for some time that Murang'a senator, who is the UDA gubernatorial candidate in Murang'a, Irungu Kang'ata, is been missing in action, especially on mainstream activities that are happening in Kenya Kwanza. Of course, after the UDA nominations, the candidates decided to go on ground to campaign. But Irungu Kang'ata, before the nominations, was a very strong campaign machinery for William Ruto even outside Murang'a County. But in February, after even though he received the UDA nomination, he went back to Murang'a and realized that there was competition coming from the UDA governor candidate Jamlek Kamau. So I was very keen, because even during the signing of the agreement of political parties in Nairobi, Bengong, that event, he was missing. The nomination for the governors, especially for the running mate, during the running mate conversation, he was conspicuously missing. But we understand that the running mate, mostly the governors were not so much active, except the ones that wanted, that were in that list, namely Anne Waiguru. But the Mount Kenya campaigns, Irungu Kang'ata is not being active in them. One that I noted that caught my attention are two events. One was the burial of two events. One was the burial of Kimani Ichung'wah's mother-in-law, I think it was father-in-law, in Nyeri. That was a week after the nominations. Then last week they were back in Nyeri for the burial of Rigathi Gachagwa's brother. All those two events Irungu Kang'ata was not part of. And also the rally that Irungu Kang'ata, the rally that William Ruto held in Kiambu, that was Moses Kuria's event. But if you look at the other candidates, Irungu Kang'ata is not the only one. Even Moses Kuria is vying for governor in Kiambu, but he's active in the mainstream Kenya Kwanza campaigns. Secondly is Alice Wahome. She's vying for an MP. Alice Wahome and Ndindi Nyoro, they're seeking MP seats in Murang'a. Alice is Kandara, then, and Ndindi Nyoro is where? Kiharu. Yes, so they are active in the mainstream politics. But if you look at one person, Irungu Kang'ata, he's been missing in action for some time. So, and when I was going through his social media pages, I found one post that he was being busted, and he was busted for one thing. Irungu Kang'ata is campaigning to be the governor, and in one of the posts, he was busted sharing a fake edited photo of Raila Odinga's crowd, alleging that that was his crowd. Now, I want you to look at this photo here, this tweet here. This is the tweet. Then if you look at this tweet, there are four photos. There is one of, maybe he's talking about his manifesto. Then there is another one, he's standing with the running mate, the governor running mate. Then there is one is campaigning down. Then I want you to look at now, especially this photo. Now, if you look at this photo, it is edited photo of Raila Odinga. Then what did I do? The result is called Google reverse image. So if you post this photo in Google reverse image, this is what you are going to receive, because it's going to show you the original photo of that. Now, the original photo is this one here. This is the photo that Irungu Kang'ata edited, and where Raila is standing, that's where him and the running mate, their photos was pasted there. This is a rally of Raila Odinga's back in 2017 during, I think that was the last rally in Kasarani, not in Kasarani, in Uhuru Park. The very last rally in Uhuru Park as people heading to the general election. So if you look at it, his intention was to show a might of numbers, that he has the numbers. So I decided to put a call to one of an aspirant, senator aspirant there, a very good friend of mine, and he was telling me that if you compare Irungu Kang'ata's crowds and Jamlek Kamau is pulling more numbers on the streets compared to Irungu Kang'ata. And according to him, Irungu Kang'ata has opted to campaign even late into the night, because by that time he's going to find the audience. But if you want to find natural audience, well, that's why people are campaigning in the night. You're going to find people from the markets, people who are just running errands, people who are just in town, and by that time you can also not get a crowd. He's not very comfortable when he calls a crowd, he calls an event, maybe a political rally, as Irungu Kang'ata and the UDA aspirants and even with the running mate. He's not pulling a substantive number of voters and number of residents. So he was telling me that he's really struggling with numbers when he organizes an event without the input, or rather without the presence of Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. Now, this photo, it was whatever they did, they just edited. And one thing is happening, they're just struggling to do what is called perception. And the perception is that he is getting a massive following. Now, to the extent of editing a photo from Nairobi, honestly, and in Twitter, people just know that this is not Murang'a. People just know this is Nairobi, and such kind of an audience, for a governor to pull, for a governor aspirant to pull, it really needs some magic. So what's happening? One thing is eminent here, is that Irungu Kang'ata is finding a little bit, the ground is a little bit slippery in Murang'a. And Murang'a now is at the center of Kenya Kwanza, because the governor, the running mate is from Nyeri. Murang'a they also wanted, and now Raila Odinga team led by Sabina Chege are making inroads there, and things now, tables are turning. So let's look at what could have been bringing this kind of hostile reception in Murang'a, that is forcing the governor, and why the governor will go to an extent of even editing a crowd photo. Irungu Kang'ata came into the political limelight in Murang'a by that protest letter to President Uhuru Kenyatta when he was complaining about the BBI, and he was known as Irungu wa Barua. So he developed a euphoria around the Irungu wa Barua, and then from that he came out and announced himself, and then decided to vie for the governor seat. But of interest here is this, that most of what he will do, and when he got entry into the Murang'a politics, he went there with the anti-Uhuru campaign. Then anti-Uhuru campaign is now lacking traction. It's lacking traction because one thing I understand is, if you are vying for governor or even an MP seat, what most people would prefer is punching, or rather the denting of track record of the incumbent, so that you breathe fresh energy and hope to voters. That is just what voters want to see. Voters want to see a new facelift in their life. So one thing that happened is, when they were making entry campaigns, it was all about attacking the president. The president is supporting Raila. The president has neglected the region. Now that narrative became monotonous, and with the time, Raila, president is a little bit refraining from playing active role in Raila Odinga's campaigns. So the traction, the anti-Uhuru euphoria as a basis of their campaign is simply lacking traction. And in that is where their campaigns are now getting dented. It's about time, and as they go towards the August 9th, as we head towards the end of August 9th, is the same way also the president is moving away from Raila campaigns. With that, the leeway to attack the president might not be there, because you might not be seeing the president around Raila Odinga, or maybe going to campaign for Raila Odinga in Central. And I say that people who advise the president, that is not, they should not do that, I think got it right. So that anti-Uhuru campaign is not gaining traction. But then, emergence of Jamlek Kamau. Initially, the governorship of Murang'a was a done deal on Irungu Kang'ata, because first, Jubilee did not seem to have a candidate. They were struggling with Sabina Chege had announced she wanted to go. Then last minute she pulled out, and she says that she was advised by the president to join the mainstream Azimio campaigns. But then Jamlek Kamau is a seasoned politician who had been actually also vied for that position, I think in 2017, if I'm not wrong. Irungu Kang'ata is an incumbent senator. Senator does not have a development kitty, but to the voters, this is not something that they understand. He is most likely being judged on what has he done for the people. This is the same fate that Siaya Senator James Orengo is facing in Siaya, because James Orengo has been he was a minister and a senator. All those 10 years, all those 15 years was in government, he was a minister and a senator. And those positions cannot directly benefit the people. So the emergence of Jamlek Kamau is giving the voters in Murang'a, I have understanding that it might be giving them a hope or an alternative to what they perceive as someone who has already been in office and is an incumbent. Lastly, and this can also be playing out, is the dissent among the UDA candidates. There is the voices of dissent this way. It is in Murang'a that almost nearly all the incumbents were given direct tickets. Not because senator in the governor race it was direct. If you look at Kiharu, Ndindi Nyoro has a direct ticket. Ali Sahome has a direct ticket. Maragwa, Mary, there's someone called an MP there called Mary. He has a direct ticket. She has a direct ticket. Now, that is just in the level of MP. The level of MCAs, there are also others that got direct tickets. The shambolic UDA nominations in those areas, and it was poorly attended, could have brew voices of dissent, and the UDA aspirants that are in that region do not really gel well with the voters, because voters might be feeling like my candidate was shortchanged in favor of candidate X, and so I am not going to support anything UDA. And that, without the voices of dissent among the UDA candidates, would most likely deflate the euphoria that Irungu Kang'ata will be getting from the voters. Because from what he's been sharing, it is clear that to the extent of faking a photo, it is clear that things are not very friendly on ground. There is also the issue of the public rejection. The public rejection can be manifested because the presidential candidate William Ruto has been avoiding the Mount Kenya for some time, especially after the UDA nominations. It is just that after Martha Karua tried not to make an entry, we saw them flying all the way from Nakuru to Nyandarua, and today I think they're going to Nyeri, or they're going to Embu, then they will be in Nyeri, then tomorrow they will be in Murang'a, and of course I'll come back with an analysis touching on that. So the fact that the deputy president has been their point of contact, and now the deputy president seems not to be engaging a lot of campaigns there is that lack of touch with the voters. Because some of these Mount Kenya politicians, in 2017, I do agree with the president that majority of them got those votes through President Uhuru Kenyatta. So the only people that work hard is the presidential candidate. Even these other leaders, they're just looking for, and that's why they're marketing deputy president, so that when deputy president gets the euphoria and gets his votes, that's how they can also get their way in their respective ballot boxes. So ladies and gentlemen, that's my analysis, and what you can also explain to us, what would motivate politicians to go to an extent of struggling to create a perception with the crowds, especially crowds that if you check you realize that are not their genuine crowds. That is my analysis, and let's meet in the next.